How are we doing, everybody? We are back today with another video, and in today's video, I'm going to give you guys my 5 favorite moves that the San Francisco 49ers have made so far in this offseason. Let's not waste any time. Let's run the intro and get to it. Let's now get into my 5 favorite moves that the Niners have made this offseason. Quick note, I will do a follow-up video where I talk about some of the moves that I wasn't particularly crazy about. And in this video, they're not necessarily in any particular order, but the first move I want to talk about involves the most important position on the field, and we're going to talk quarterback, and that's the signing of Josh Dobbs to a 1-year deal. I think this was a really good, shrewd move by John Lynch and company. First off, I think that Josh Dobbs is a better quarterback than Sam Darnold. We got Josh Dobbs at a fraction of the price than what Minnesota are paying Sam Darnold, and we were obviously comfortable to let Sam Darnold walk in free agency just to get a guy who, again, I think is probably better than Darnold. Now, Josh Dobbs had a tumultuous season in 2023. He signed with the Cleveland Browns, and you look at it, it was August 24th, gets traded to the Arizona Cardinals. A couple of weeks later, he's starting for the Cardinals. Now, his record as a starter there wasn't very good. He went 1-7, but you look at his stats and they were respectable. Over 1,500 yards passing in 8 games, 8 touchdowns, 5 interceptions, also ran for about 250 yards and 3 more touchdowns. Then on Halloween, he gets traded to the Minnesota Vikings because Kirk Cousins goes down. 4 days later, he has to come in and play because their backup quarterback, Minnesota's, gets hurt. And he ends up playing decently well, the record of 2-2 when he was in there. Look, the stats weren't particularly great in Minnesota. I want to say it coincided with Justin Jefferson being out. But overall, Josh Dobbs is coming to a great situation in San Francisco. Plenty of weapons, the best weapons that he's had in his NFL career. He'll get the whole offseason with San Francisco. I like what he can do with his legs. He's clearly a really intelligent guy. And I think he's someone who, in that backup role, is a great option. And obviously, I hope nothing happens to Brock Purdy this coming season. But if he does have to miss a game or two, I'm fairly comfortable with Josh Dobbs coming in and just being solid, getting the job done and making plays when he needs to, backed up with this really good run game. Love this move by John Lynch and company. Josh Dobbs 1-year deal. The next move that I want to talk about, and we're actually going to stay on the offensive side of the ball, and that is re-signing John Feliciano to a 1-year deal. I believe it's about, $2 or $3 million. Now, you look at John Feliciano, he started down the stretch last season for the 49ers at right guard. You look at his stats, you look at PFF and his ratings there, a really good run blocker. Pass protection wasn't great, but it also wasn't tragically bad either. I think the really valuable thing when it comes to John Feliciano is not only now will he be in his 2nd year in the Kyle Shanahan offense, another offseason with the 49ers, he clearly wants to be here. You saw how stoked he was on Twitter when they announced his re-signing. But also, you look at the case where he has position versatility. He can play a number of positions, basically any of the interior positions. He played some left guard last season. He can play center. He can play right guard. So it just gives you so much flexibility there with regards to depth. Should anything happen to Aaron Banks, you slide Feliciano to left guard. Spencer Burford can come in at right guard. Maybe Brendel, let's say if he misses some time at center, Feliciano can go there. Burford, then you have at right guard. Also, it does give us some flexibility in the draft where we don't necessarily have to draft someone on the interior of the offensive line. I would think it's a good idea to always draft a couple of offensive linemen every year, try and reinforce the line, but bringing Feliciano back on a 1-year deal I think is a fantastic move by the 49ers. Next up, and this might be my favorite move of the offseason, was signing edge player Leonard Floyd, formerly of the Buffalo Bills and the LA Rams and the Chicago Bears. I think this was a fantastic move. It's a 2-year deal that we signed Leonard Floyd to, which I think is a really good amount of time. He's getting a little bit older, but still playing at a really high level. You look at his last 4 seasons, he's had, nine and a half sacks in each of his last 4 seasons or more. He doesn't miss games, and that's a massive thing and a massive emphasis from John Lynch this offseason. He has experience playing with Brandon Staley, who's now our assistant head coach, and he's going to be very involved in how we form our defensive game plans, in the defensive coaching. So I think it's a really, really good move to get Leonard Floyd. Not only that, in my opinion, he is the best edge player that we've had opposite of Nick Bosa since Dee Ford. And even when we had Dee Ford, we all know he didn't really play that much. Leonard Floyd plays a lot of snaps every year. He's hyper athletic, has that really good bend, can get around the edge and really just pressure the quarterback, force him to have to move away from the pocket. And that's going to move right into the arms of Nick Bosa. I think it's a really good tandem that they'll be together. They complement each other really, really well. Leonard Floyd, not only that, he's played in a ton of big games. He won a Super Bowl with the LA Rams. He's played with the Bills in the playoffs, so we know that he's not afraid of the big moment. He can step up in those big moments. I love this move, and there's really no downside to this. Not only that, but also I think for me personally, you looked at our edge room, and before free agency, it was Nick Bosa, Drake Jackson, who's still a relative unknown. Then you have Robert Beal Jr., again, an unknown. But getting that veteran guy who you can count on to be out there, really just an excellent move by John Lynch. And you have to figure that Brandon Staley played a big part in this, and he could really just know how to utilize Leonard Floyd in the best way possible moving forward into this coming season. Up next is an underrated move, I think, and one that really didn't garner much attention in the media, but I think it could be a massive one for the 49ers, and that is signing Isaac Yiadom, cornerback, to a 1-year deal. Most recently with the New Orleans Saints. He's played with a number of different teams throughout his career. You look at what he did last season, though, and he played at a really high level. Now, I know PFF, people are kind of torn on that, but an 81.1 rating on PFF, that is pretty darn good. You look at how he did when he was targeted last year. Gave up less than 50% completion rate, only an 83 quarterback rating. His last season was the best season of his career. For the most part throughout his career, he's also been healthy, been durable. He missed some time. He only played 9 games in 2022, but every other year he's playing 14, 15, 16 games. So a guy that you can count on. Now, the big thing when it comes to a guy like Isaac Yiadom is depending on how things shake out, whether it's in the draft, whether it's in the rest of free agency, and you look at what our starting cornerbacks could look like, I think, of course, you're going to have Mooney Ward on the outside. Maybe on base downs, when you have your 3 linebackers, you're going to have Lenore on the outside. But then when you get into those nickel packages, I wouldn't be shocked to see us, as of right now, how the roster stands, is maybe you have Mooney Ward and Isaac Yiadom on the outside, and then you have a guy like Lenore kind of move into the slot role where we know he can excel there too. So it gives us some depth at the position, which we know is important. 2021 taught us that, if anything else, and it also gives us some flexibility with regards to the draft. I think myself, when I was doing mock drafts maybe a few weeks ago, I was like, we got to get a cornerback. Now, I think we still will draft one, but I think it eliminates the need where you have to get a cornerback in round 1 or round 2. So I think this is a really good, shrewd move, another shrewd move by John Lynch and company. And I'm really curious just to see how he does, because this is going to be the best defense that he's been on in his career. And that's the same thing for a couple of these guys that we brought in. So to see them playing with so much talent around them, I think is going to be exciting to see this offseason, then into the 2024 season. And the last move that I'm going to talk about today, guys, is the 49ers. And this is a move that I love maybe right on par there with the signing of Leonard Floyd, and that is trading for Malik Collins, the defensive tackle, formerly of the Houston Texans, and just for a 7th round pick. Malik Collins, look, he's not going to be a guy, he's not obviously not like an Aaron Donald, he's not like necessarily a Pro Bowl guy, but he's one of those solid guys to have on the defensive line. He's super consistent, he's super durable, you can count on him year in and year out. He's going to play about 600 snaps a year. So you're talking maybe 30-ish, 35 snaps a game. Pencil him in for that. Last year was a career year for Malik Collins, and he's been in the league since 2016. And who was that career year with? That was with D'Amico Ryans. And of course, we're going to be running the same defensive scheme here in San Francisco. Obviously, a guy like D'Amico Ryans is going to have a really good working relationship with Kyle Shanahan, with John Lynch, and probably gave them the lowdown on what to expect from a player like Malik Collins. But he's a guy who's out there. He's coming off a career year. He had 5 sacks. He had a bunch of quarterback hits. He's disruptive. I think he's going to be really good beside Javon Hargrave. That doesn't eliminate necessarily the need for us to draft a defensive tackle at some point in the draft, but I think it gives you your starting defensive tackles. Here's the other big thing which I really like about this. He's going to be coming in at about half the price of Arik Armstead. Now, I like Armstead, especially playoff Armstead, but the last couple of years, he has missed a lot of time, kind of becoming a guy that you can't necessarily count on to play, 14, 15, 16 games, whereas Malik Collins is the exact opposite of that. Overall, do I think Armstead is a better player on the field? Yeah, probably, but not that much better. Plus, Collins will be out there. So I think it's a great move from the 49ers, and it's a great way to mitigate the loss of Armstead. Clearly, the 49ers and Armstead weren't going to work things out financially, so this is as good a move and as just a smart move to make, where you're not breaking the bank, you're not paying crazy money for a guy, but you're going to get a guy who knows the scheme because we'll run the same thing or very similar to D'Amico, who can produce and who's going to be out there. Love this move from John Lynch and company. Alrighty guys, there you have it. My 5 favorite moves that the 49ers have made so far in this offseason. I hope you guys enjoyed my mock draft video, and with regards to this video, do drop some comments. What were some of your favorite moves? What were some of the moves that you didn't particularly like? Again, I will be covering that in a video myself in the coming days. But I think this offseason has gone fairly well for the 49ers, all things considered. We're bringing back everybody on offense with the exception of Charlie Werner. Everyone else is coming back. So another year of that chemistry. Brock Purdy will have a full offseason with the offense, with the team, training camp, everything. So that's really positive. And I think we've made some moves that we've had to make on the defensive side of the ball. And I don't really think that we're worse off by any means. So curious to see what you guys think. Thanks so much for checking out this video. Like, subscribe, do all the good stuff. And before I go, you guys know that I'm going to say 2 things, and that is the butt counts, and I'll catch you guys on the flip side.